The midnight sky above Earth was tranquil when they arrived. Captain Mara Rivera stood at the command bridge of the UESF light cruiser, Hawking. Her eyes fixed on the tactical display as a shimmering distortion appeared at the edge of lunar orbit. Space itself seemed to fold, and then unfurl, revealing the massive silhouette of an alien warship. The vessel was monstrous, nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern its hull, adorned with what were unmistakably weapon emplacements. The light cruiser, Hawking, pride of Earth's modest defense fleet, suddenly felt like a rowboat beside an aircraft carrier. Tactical full sensor sweep. Rivera ordered, keeping her voice steady, despite the hammering of her heart. Communications alert UESF command that we have first contact. Lieutenant Yosef tapped frantically at his console. Captain, sensors are detecting 41 additional signatures, all similar class to the first vessel. Rivera's blood ran cold. 42 battleships. The entirety of Earth's United Space Fleet numbered just 27 vessels of all classes. She straightened her uniform jacket, a habit from her academy days that surfaced whenever anxiety threatened to overwhelm her. "They're broadcasting," Captain Communications Officer Park announced. "System-wide all frequencies. They want everyone to hear this." "On screen," Rivera commanded. The main view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The being had a vaguely reptilian appearance, scales of burnished copper, covering facial ridges, 4 yellow eyes, blinking independently of each other, and a lipless mouth that revealed teeth like polished obsidian. "People of Earth." The alien spoke in perfect English, each syllable precise and measured. "I am Admiral Marek of the Vishari Confederation. Your world has been selected for integration into our 12-species alliance. Resistance is inadvisable. We have studied your technology, your weapons, your defenses. They are inadequate." Rivera felt a chill at his pause, the alien equivalent of a condescending smile. "As a demonstration of our capabilities," Marek continued, "observe." The screen split to show one of the massive battleships turning toward a small, unmanned UESF monitoring drone. A pulse of energy lanced out from the alien vessel, and the drone simply ceased to exist, not exploding, not disintegrating, but vanishing from reality as though it had never been. "You have 6 Earth hours to prepare your leadership for integration negotiations," Marek concluded. "Should you attempt resistance, we will demonstrate our capabilities on targets of increasing value until your compliance is assured." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge crew of the Hawking in stunned silence. Rivera's tactical officer, Commander Alvarez, was the first to speak. "Captain, what are your orders?" Rivera straightened her shoulders. "Contact Fleet Admiral Okafor. The Vishari have made their position clear. Time to make ours equally clear." She paused, looking at the tactical display where 42 enemy warships now hung in Earth, orbit like predators circling prey. "Helm, bring us to combat alert. Weapons, prepare a precision railgun strike on the lead vessel's forward sensor array. Let's see how they respond to a shot across the bow." "Captain," Alvarez protested, "did you see what their weapons did to that drone? We'd be—" "I saw," Commander Rivera cut him off. "And so did everyone on Earth. If we don't respond now, we signal to these Vishari that humanity can be cowed by displays of force. That's not the message I want to send." The Hawking moved into position, its railgun capacitors charging to full power. Rivera watched the energy readings climb on her command console, wondering if she was about to start or end humanity's first interstellar war. "Railgun at full charge, Captain," Weapons Officer Kagawa reported. Rivera nodded. "Target locked on the flagship's forward sensor array. Fire." The ship shuddered slightly as the electromagnetic accelerators launched a tungsten carbide projectile toward the Vishari flagship at nearly 8% the speed of light. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the projectile crossed the void and then seemed to hit an invisible wall 300 meters from the alien vessel's hull, dissolving into a shower of superheated particles. "Energy shields," Alvarez murmured. "We didn't even scratch them." Rivera's communicator chimed. "Captain Rivera, came the voice of Fleet Admiral Okafor. "I've received your report. Hold position but do not engage further. Earth Defense Council is convening. We're activating the Hyperion Protocol." Rivera's eyes widened slightly. "The Hyperion Protocol, it's operational." "That's classified, Captain," Okafor replied, though Rivera could hear the hint of a smile in her voice. "Maintain your position. Buy us time. Okafor out." As the communication ended, Rivera turned to her crew. "You heard the Admiral. We hold position. Lieutenant Park, open a channel to the Vishari flagship." When Admiral Marek's face appeared once more on screen, Rivera spoke with carefully measured confidence. "Admiral Marek, I am Captain Mara Rivera of the United Earth Space Fleet. Your demonstration has been noted. So has your ultimatum. Earth requires more time to consider your proposal." "There is nothing to consider, Captain Rivera," Marek replied, his 4 eyes blinking in an unsettling pattern. "Integration is inevitable. The Confederation has incorporated 27 worlds in the past century. Some joined willingly. Others required persuasion. All serve the greater collective now. Humanity has a long history of resisting inevitabilities, Admiral," Rivera countered. "We request 24 hours to consult with all Earth nations." Marek's upper eyes narrowed. 6 hours was generous, Captain, but I will extend our patience to 12 hours as a gesture of the Confederation's benevolence. After that, we begin persuasion protocols." The transmission ended abruptly. "That bought us some time," Rivera said to her crew. "Now, let's hope the Hyperion Protocol is everything the rumors claim it is." 10 hours passed in tense waiting. The Vishari fleet maintained formation, their massive ships casting long shadows whenever they passed between Earth and the Sun. Rivera had rotated her crew in shifts, ensuring everyone got at least some rest, though she herself remained on the bridge, refusing to relinquish command at such a critical juncture. It was Commander Alvarez who first noticed the anomaly. "Captain, we're missing a ship." Rivera looked up sharply. Which one?" "The destroyer, Daring." Alvarez replied, confusion evident in his voice. "It was stationed at L2, but it's not responding to hails, and I can't locate it on any sensors." Rivera felt a flutter of hope in her chest. The Daring was one of the newest additions to the fleet, a prototype vessel rumored to be testing experimental technology. If the Hyperion Protocol involved the Daring— "Continue monitoring," she ordered, "and maintain combat readiness. I have a feeling—" She never finished her sentence. At that moment, alerts blared across the bridge, as sensors detected massive energy surges within the Vishari formation. "What's happening?" Rivera demanded. "Energy spikes throughout the enemy fleet," Tactical reported. 3 of their dreadnoughts are experiencing power fluctuations. No total systems failure. They're going dark. On the main view screen, Rivera watched in amazement as 3 of the massive Vishari battleships suddenly lost their running lights, their hulls becoming dark silhouettes against the stars. And then, like a ghost materializing from nothing, the sleek form of the Daring appeared in the midst of the Vishari formation. "The Daring is hailing us, Captain," communications announced. On screen, Rivera ordered, unable to keep a smile from her face. Commander Liu's face appeared, her expression one of controlled triumph. "Captain Rivera, Commander Liu of the UES Daring reporting. Hyperion Protocol executed successfully. 3 enemy capital ships neutralized without casualties." "Well done, Commander," Rivera replied. "What exactly did you just do?" Liu's smile widened. "Quantum stealth drive combined with targeted EMP warheads, Captain. We've been reverse engineering technology from that alien wreckage found on Titan 5 years ago. Turns out, the Vishari's shields are calibrated for kinetic and energy weapons, not for an enemy they can't detect until it's too late." A second alert sounded. "Captain, we're being hailed by the Vishari flagship," Lieutenant Park reported. "Split screen," Rivera ordered. Admiral Marek's face appeared alongside Commander Liu's. The alien's usual composure had vanished, replaced by what Rivera could only interpret as alarm. "What have you done?" Marek demanded. How did your vessel penetrate our formation undetected? Rivera allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Admiral, it seems the Confederation's intelligence on Earth's capabilities was incomplete. Perhaps we should discuss the terms of your visit again. Marek's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. I request an immediate ceasefire and a direct meeting between our commands. Granted, Rivera said. The neutral station, truce point, at L1 would be an appropriate venue. 1 hour, Admiral. After the transmission ended, the bridge crew erupted in cheers. Rivera allowed herself to join in briefly, before raising a hand for silence. This isn't over, she cautioned. We've surprised them, but those are still battleships up there, and we've only neutralized 3 out of 42. Commander Liu has bought us leverage. Now we need to use it wisely. The neutral station, truce point, had been established 5 years earlier as an international research facility designed with multiple airlocks and environmental systems that could theoretically accommodate non-human visitors. As Rivera's shuttle approached, she noted that the station had been hastily converted for its new diplomatic purpose security personnel. From a dozen Earth nations patrolled the corridors, and the main conference room had been reconfigured with seating suitable for both human and Vishari physiologies. Lieutenant Suresh, the Hawking's chaplain and cultural officer, accompanied Rivera to the meeting. As they walked toward the conference room, Suresh leaned in close. Remember the Marathon Accords, Captain, he advised quietly. When the Persians came to Greece with an overwhelming force demanding earth and water as tokens of submission, the Greeks showed defiance rather than fear, Rivera finished. I remember my history, Lieutenant. Let's hope our visitors are students of it as well. When they entered the conference room, Admiral Marek was already present, along with a smaller Vishari, who wore elaborate decorated garments, rather than the metallic armor of the military officers. Captain Rivera. Marek acknowledged, his voice noticeably less imperious than before. May I present Envoy Sra, diplomatic representative of the Vishari High Council? Rivera nodded. Admiral Envoy, this is Lieutenant Suresh, cultural attaché of the United Earth Space Fleet. The envoy Sra stepped forward. Unlike Marek's imposing height of nearly 7 feet, Sra stood barely taller than Rivera herself. When she spoke, her voice was melodic, almost lyrical compared to the Admiral's harsh tones. Captain, we have begun our meeting with a significant misunderstanding, Sra said. The Confederation's standard protocol for first contact with spacefaring species involves a demonstration of strength to prevent unfortunate conflicts. On Earth, we call that gunboat diplomacy, Rivera replied coolly. It fell out of favor centuries ago. Admiral Marek's scales darkened slightly, a sign of embarrassment, Rivera guessed. Your demonstration with the vessel Daring was unexpected, he admitted. The technology you deployed should not be possible for a civilization at your development stage. Rivera smiled thinly. Perhaps the Confederation should reconsider how it judges development stages. Humans have always been resourceful when our backs are against the wall. Indeed, Sra interjected smoothly. Which is precisely why we believe Earth would make a valuable addition to the Confederation. Your ingenuity combined with our resources and established interstellar infrastructure. Let's be clear, Rivera interrupted. Earth has no interest in being integrated into your Confederation as a subordinate world. Any relationship moving forward must be based on equality and mutual respect. Marek's upper eyes narrowed. Equality. Your world possesses a single system, fewer than 50 warships, and no faster-than-light travel. The Confederation spans 12 species across 73 star systems. And yet, Rivera countered, a single Earth vessel just neutralized 3 of your battleships without firing a shot. The tension in the room was palpable. Sra glanced between Rivera and Marek, then made a gesture that resembled the steepling of fingers. Perhaps, the envoy suggested, we might discuss a different arrangement. Not integration in the traditional sense, but a limited partnership. A cultural and technological exchange with both sides, maintaining sovereignty. Lieutenant Suresh cleared his throat. If I may, Captain, in Earth's history, when disparate cultures with different technological capabilities have met, the most successful long-term relationships were those based on trade and mutual learning, rather than domination. Marek made a sound that Rivera's translator rendered as a skeptical snort. The Confederation does not form partnerships with single system species. Then, perhaps, Rivera suggested, the Confederation should evolve its policies. After all, adaptation is the cornerstone of survival, is it not? Before Marek could respond, Rivera's secure communicator buzzed. "Excuse me," she said, stepping aside to take the message. "Captain," came the voice of Commander Alvarez. "We're detecting anomalous energy signatures at the edge of the system. Not Vishari configurations. Another player has entered the field." Rivera's mind raced. "Understood. Maintain surveillance and alert Earth Command. I'll continue negotiations here." She returned to the table, finding Marek engaged in what appeared to be a heated exchange with Sra in their native language. "Problem, Admiral?" Rivera inquired. Marek's scales rippled anger, or perhaps concern. "We have detected vessels approaching from the heliopause. They are not part of our fleet." "I've just received the same information," Rivera acknowledged. "Do you know who they are?" Sra and Marek exchanged glances. "Possibly," the envoy admitted. "There is a rival power to the Confederation, the Sovereign Collective. They have been attempting to destabilize our alliance for decades." "And you led them straight to Earth," Rivera concluded, unable to keep accusation from her voice. "That was not our intention," Marek insisted. "But the Collective has agents throughout known space. They may have been watching when we deployed our fleet." Rivera considered this new development. If Earth now faced not one, but two alien powers, both potentially hostile. "Tell me about this Sovereign Collective," she demanded. Sra's voice lowered. "Where the Confederation seeks to bring stability through integration, the Collective promises independence while secretly establishing puppet regimes. They arm dissident factions within Confederation species, foment revolts, then establish protective relationships that are effectively annexation. They offer weapons," Marek added bluntly. "Advanced technology with minimal oversight. Many worlds find this attractive, until they discover the true cost." Lieutenant Suresh leaned forward. "Captain, this sounds remarkably similar to Cold War proxy conflicts from Earth's 20th century. Rivera nodded. "So Earth is suddenly valuable real estate in an interstellar Cold War. Wonderful." She fixed Marek with a steady gaze. "Admiral, let me be absolutely clear. Earth will not be anyone's client state or proxy. Not yours, not the Collective's. But if your Confederation is willing to negotiate as equals, perhaps we can find common ground against this new threat." After a moment's consideration, Marek inclined his head. "What do you propose, Captain?" "A temporary alliance. Your fleet and our defenses coordinated against collective interference. Meanwhile, we establish a framework for future relations, scientific exchange, non-aggression pacts, mutual defense." "The High Council would never," Marek began. "The High Council isn't here," Rivera cut him off. "You are, and you need to decide whether you'd rather have Earth as an ally, or watch it fall under collective influence." The silence that followed was broken by Sra. "Such an agreement would be unprecedented, but not perhaps impossible." The envoy turned to Marek. "Admiral, remember, the founding precept, adaptation ensures survival." Marek's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a deep copper. "Very well, Captain Rivera. A temporary alliance with terms to be negotiated for a more permanent arrangement. But the Confederation will expect access to the quantum stealth technology your ship demonstrated. And Earth will expect access to your faster-than-light drive technology," Rivera countered, "along with guarantees of our sovereignty." "This is highly irregular," Marek muttered. Rivera smiled. "Get used to it, Admiral. Dealing with humans often is." The negotiations continued for hours, even as reports came in of 5 collective vessels taking position at the edge of the system. By the time Rivera and Marek emerged from the conference room, they had hammered out a preliminary agreement. Earth would remain sovereign, but would enter into a defense pact with the Vishari Confederation. Both sides would establish scientific exchanges with carefully controlled technology transfers. And together, they would present a united front to the sovereign collective's advances. Not everyone was pleased with the arrangement. When Rivera returned to the Hawking, she found a secure message waiting from General Kimura of the Pan-Asian Defense Coalition. "Captain, your negotiations have exceeded your authority," the general's recorded message stated flatly. Earth should be extracting maximum concessions from the Vishari, while they're vulnerable not entering partnerships. The technology aboard the Daring gives us leverage we've never had before. Use it. Similar sentiments came from other military leaders around the world. Rivera understood their perspective. The Vishari had arrived as conquerors, and many on Earth wanted to ensure they left with their tails between their legs, metaphorically speaking. But Rivera had seen something in Sra's explanations, and even in Marek's grudging admissions, the Confederation wasn't monolithic. There were factions and philosophies within it, just as there were on Earth. And with the sovereign collective now circling like vultures, humanity needed allies more than it needed revenge. Admiral Marek faced similar challenges. When he returned to the Imperial Aegis, his second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Kavor, was waiting with open disapproval. "A partnership with a pre-FTL species." Kavor's scales flushed crimson with indignation. "The integration protocols are clear, Admiral. If they resist, we escalate. We do not negotiate." Marek removed his ceremonial armor, suddenly feeling the weight of the day's events. "The protocols were written before we encountered a species that could bypass our shields and disable our dreadnoughts, Sub-Admiral." 3 ships out of 42, Kavor protested. "We could still overwhelm them." "And then what?" Marek rounded on his subordinate. "Destroy their infrastructure, bombard their cities. Create another resentful client world that requires constant garrisons and drains resources. Meanwhile, the collective establishes itself in neighboring systems and continues to chip away at our borders." He shook his head. "No. The old ways are failing us, Kavor. Perhaps it's time to try something new." Kavor's posture stiffened. "The High Council will not approve." "Perhaps not," Marek agreed. "But they're 20 light-years away, and we're here facing both humans and the collective. I'll take responsibility for my decisions." As Kavor departed, still radiating disapproval, Marek activated his private communication terminal. "Connect me with Envoy Sra," he ordered. When the envoy's face appeared, Marek spoke without preamble. "The agreement with the humans. Can you make it work? Will the Council ratify it?" Sra's scales rippled thoughtfully. "There will be resistance, certainly. Integration has been our way for centuries. But there are progressive factions within the Council who have long advocated for more flexible approaches to expansion." "I need names," Marek said. "Allies on the Council who will support this new direction." "Bold of you to assume there will be a new direction based on one unusual first contact," Sra observed. Marek's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the Vishari equivalent of a sardonic smile. "If you had seen what their ship did to our dreadnoughts, you wouldn't question it. We've grown complacent, Sra, reliant on overwhelming force rather than innovation. These humans—" He paused, searching for the right words. "They've accomplished in decades what took our species centuries. And they've done it while fighting among themselves without the unified purpose the Confederation provides." "Imagine what they might accomplish with allies, then," Sra mused. "Exactly," Marek agreed. "And I would rather those allies be us than the collective." The next day brought the first test of the fledgling Earth-Vishari alliance. The sovereign collective vessels, having lurked at the system's edge for hours, finally made their approach. 3 sleek obsidian ships, their hulls absorbing, rather than reflecting light, creating an unsettling void-like appearance. They bypassed the Vishari fleet entirely, making straight for Earth orbit, where they took position directly above the Northern Hemisphere. There, broadcasting, Lieutenant Park reported from the Hawking's communication station. All frequencies, all languages, just like the Vishari did. On screen, Rivera ordered, bracing herself for another ultimatum. The being that appeared looked nothing like the Vishari. Where Marek and his kind were reptilian, this creature appeared almost crystalline, faceted surfaces that might have been skin-catching and refracting light, with no visible eyes or mouth. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Rivera's mind, a telepathic communication that the ship's systems somehow translated to audio. People of Earth, the crystalline being projected. I am Emissary Vexalia of the Sovereign Collective. We observe that the Vishari Confederation has attempted to subjugate your world through military intimidation, their standard tactic. The Collective offers an alternative partnership without submission. We have monitored your defense of your system. Your ingenuity against superior Vishari technology impressed us. Rivera exchanged glances with Lieutenant Suresh. They've been watching the whole time, she murmured. We offer you advanced defensive technologies, Vexalia continued. Weapons capable of neutralizing the entire Vishari fleet. All we ask in return is exclusive mining rights to your outer system, bodies objects of no value to your current technological level. Captain Alvarez warned quietly. They're scanning us. Intensive energy sweeps across all spectrums. Rivera nodded. Looking to see exactly what we have, and what we don't. She opened a channel to the Imperial Aegis. Admiral Marek, are you receiving the collective transmission? We are. Marek confirmed, his image appearing on a secondary screen. Captain, you should know that the collective's partnerships invariably end with resource depletion and abandonment. Those mining rights they seek, they'll strip your outer system bare within a decade, then move on to your inner planets. I suspected as much, Rivera replied. Recommendations? Marek's scales shifted to a deep blue determination Rivera had learned. A joint response. Your vessels and mine presenting unified defense posture. The collective preys on division. Rivera considered for only a moment before nodding. Agreed. Lieutenant Park, prepare a response to the collective, and signal all Earth defense vessels to take formation alongside Vishari ships. Within minutes, the unusual sight of human and Vishari vessels maneuvering into integrated defensive formations filled space around Earth. The Hawking took position beside the Imperial Aegis. Their disparate designs, one sleek and angular, the other massive and ornate, creating a striking visual contrast. Broadcasting now, Captain Park announced. Rivera squared her shoulders and addressed the collective emissary. Emissary Vexalia, I am Captain Mara Rivera of the United Earth Space Fleet. Earth appreciates your offer of assistance, but we must decline. We have established diplomatic relations with the Vishari Confederation and are not in need of intervention. The crystalline being's facets darkened. Captain Rivera, you are being deceived. The Vishari do not establish diplomatic relations, only dominance hierarchies. Whatever agreement you believe you have reached, I assure you they consider it temporary at best. Perhaps that was true in the past, Rivera countered. But circumstances evolve. Our alliance with the Vishari is based on mutual respect and common interests. Naive Vexalia projected the telepathic communication carrying undertones of contempt. But if you insist on this course, the collective will withdraw, for now. When the Vishari show their true nature, contact us. Our offer remains open. The Obsidian ships pivoted in perfect synchronization and accelerated away from Earth, their drives leaving no visible exhaust or energy signature, simply there one moment and gone the next. They left rather easily, Lieutenant Suresh observed suspiciously. Too easily, Rivera agreed. Commander Alvarez maintained full sensor sweeps of the system. I doubt we've seen the last of them. She was right. 3 hours later, as Rivera was reviewing the preliminary alliance protocols with SRA aboard Truce Point, an urgent communication came through from the Hawking. Captain, Alvarez reported, his voice tense. We're detecting energy signatures consistent with collective vessels near Jupiter's moon Callisto. And there's something else. One of the Vishari battleships, the Solitude Bringer, has broken formation and is heading toward the same coordinates. Rivera looked sharply at Sra. Explanation, Envoy. Sra's scales paled to a sickly yellow. The Solitude Bringer is commanded by Sub-Admiral Kavor. He is traditionally minded, resistant to our new approach with Earth. He's defecting, Rivera realized. Or at least considering the collective's offer. She activated her communicator. Get me Admiral Marek immediately. Marek's response was swift and furious. Kavor will be considered a traitor if he treats with the collective, the Admiral growled. I'm dispatching vessels to intercept. Not alone, you're not, Rivera countered. This is a joint operation now, Admiral. The Hawking will accompany your ships, and we should bring the Daring as well. The collective hasn't seen our stealth technology in action yet. What followed was the first joint Earth-Vishari military operation in history. 3 Vishari cruisers, accompanied by the Hawking, and with the Daring running silent, alongside, accelerated toward Jupiter's orbit. They arrived to find the Solitude Bringer in close proximity to 2 collective vessels, energy patterns, suggesting active communication between them. All ships hold position, Marek ordered from the flagship, which had remained near Earth. Captain Rivera, our sensors cannot locate the Daring. Is it in position? Affirmative, Admiral, Rivera confirmed. Commander Liu is awaiting our signal. Marek's scales rippled with what might have been appreciation. Open a channel to the Solitude Bringer. When Kavor's face appeared on screen, his scales were flushed almost black with emotion. Admiral Marek, I expected you would send pursuit. Sub-Admiral Kavor, Marek responded formally. You have violated Confederation protocols by breaking formation and engaging with collective representatives without authorization. Return to your assigned position immediately. Kavor's mouth stretched in what Rivera had come to recognize as a Vishari smile, though this one held no warmth. The collective has made compelling arguments, Admiral. They offer technology that would give us advantage over the humans, without requiring this undignified alliance you've constructed. At what cost, Kavor? Marek demanded. You know their methods. Whatever they promise, the price will be too high. The cost of maintaining Confederation dominance is never too high, Kavor retorted. A principle you seem to have forgotten. Rivera, watching the exchange from the Hawking's bridge, felt a chill. Kavor represented the militaristic tradition of the Vishari Confederation, the belief in subjugation rather than cooperation. If his views were widespread among the Vishari leadership. The collective vessels are powering weapons, Alvarez reported urgently. Energy signatures climbing. Signal the Daring, Rivera ordered. Execute Hyperion Protocol. As before, the Daring materialized seemingly from nowhere, this time directly between the Solitude Bringer and the collective ships. Before either alien vessel could react, the human destroyer launched its specialized EMP warheads. The effect on the collective ships was even more dramatic than it had been on the Vishari dreadnoughts. Where the Vishari vessels had simply gone dark, the obsidian hulls of the collective craft actually began to fracture golden energy, leaking from the cracks like blood from a wound. Their technology is crystalline in nature, Suresh observed from beside Rivera. The electromagnetic pulse must be causing structural failure at the atomic level. Kavor's transmission cut off abruptly as the Solitude Bringer powered its engines, attempting to flee. But the Vishari cruisers moved to block its path, their weapons powering up in clear warning. Sub-Admiral Kavor, Marek's voice was cold with formal authority. You are hereby relieved of command pending investigation for treason against the Confederation. Your vessel will be escorted back to Earth orbit, where you will surrender yourself to security personnel. The crisis resolved quickly after that. With the collective ships disabled, and the rebellious Vishari vessel contained both human and Vishari leaders, could turn their attention back to formalizing their alliance. But the incident had revealed fault lines on both sides, human military leaders who distrusted any alien partnership, and Vishari traditionalists who resisted changing centuries of expansionist policy. 2 days later, Rivera found herself in the Truce Point Station's observation lounge, staring out at the blue curve of Earth below. The Vishari fleet had reduced its presence to just 15 ships, still an overwhelming force by human standards, but a significant de-escalation from their initial show of force. "Beautiful, isn't it?" came Sra's melodic voice from behind her. "Your world has remarkable color variation. Most habitable planets don't display such vivid blues and greens." Rivera turned to find the Vishari envoy had adopted a more casual posture, her ceremonial garments replaced by simpler attire. "I've always thought so," Rivera agreed. "Though I've only seen a handful of other worlds, and only through telescopes or probes." "That will change soon," Sra noted, moving to stand beside Rivera at the viewport. "Once the technology exchanges begin." Rivera nodded. The formal alliance treaty had been finalized that morning. Earth would remain fully sovereign, but would join the Vishari Confederation as an associate member, with representation on interstellar councils and access to faster-than-light technology. In exchange, the Vishari would gain limited access to the quantum stealth systems that had so impressed them, along with trading rights throughout the solar system. "Admiral Marek departs tomorrow," Sra continued. "He returns to the High Council to present our treaty and advocate for this new approach to expansion." "Will they listen?" Rivera asked. Sra's scales rippled in what Rivera had learned was thoughtful consideration. "There will be resistance. Cavor is not alone in his traditionalist views. But Marek carries significant influence, and the demonstration of your quantum stealth technology has made an impression. Success breeds imitation, Captain." "And what about you, Envoy? Will you return with the Admiral?" "No," Sra replied. "I will remain as the first Vishari ambassador to Earth. There is much work to be done in building cultural understanding between our peoples." She paused, her scales shifting to a warm amber. "Besides, I find humans fascinating. Your adaptability, your creativity in the face of overwhelming odds, these are qualities the Confederation has perhaps forgotten in its reliance on raw power." Rivera smiled. "We've had to be adaptable. Our history is filled with asymmetric conflicts where ingenuity trumped superior force." "A history the Vishari would do well to study," Sra acknowledged. "Just as humans would benefit from understanding the stability and unity the Confederation has achieved across diverse species." A comfortable silence fell between them as they gazed out at Earth below and the stars beyond. The moment was interrupted by Rivera's communicator. "Captain," came Alvarez's voice. "You're needed on the Hawking. Fleet Admiral Okafor has arrived with new orders." Rivera's meeting with Fleet Admiral Okafor was brief, but life-changing. The Admiral, a formidable woman whose reputation for strategic brilliance was matched only by her diplomatic skill, had come with an unexpected proposition. "Captain Rivera," she said without preamble, once they were alone in the Hawking's conference room. "Earth Defense Council has created a new position, Fleet Ambassador to the Vishari Confederation. Someone who understands both military protocol and diplomatic nuance. Someone who's already proven they can stand firm against alien intimidation while still forging unlikely alliances." Okafor smiled. "I've recommended you for the post." Rivera blinked in surprise. "Admiral, I'm honored, but I'm a ship captain, not a diplomat." "And yet you negotiated humanity's first interstellar alliance quite effectively," Okafor countered. "Besides, the Vishari respect military authority. Sending a career diplomat would signal weakness to them. Sending a starship captain signals respect between equals." Rivera considered the proposal. Leave the Hawking trade the certainty of command for the ambiguity of diplomacy, yet she couldn't deny a sense of excitement at the prospect of being at the forefront of humanity's expansion into the galactic community. "What about the Hawking?" she asked. "Commander Alvarez is ready for his own command," Okafor replied. "He's proven himself during this crisis." Rivera nodded slowly. "I accept, Admiral, though I request Lieutenant Suresh accompany me as cultural attaché. His insights have been invaluable." "Already arranged," Okafor confirmed with a smile. You depart in 2 days aboard the Constellation, a new vessel specially commissioned as Earth's diplomatic flagship. Your first mission will be accompanying Admiral Marek to the Vishari High Council, where you'll present the human perspective on our new alliance. Admiral Marek received his own unexpected news that same day. The quantum communication relay connecting his flagship to the Vishari homeworld activated with an urgent priority message, not from the High Council as he expected, but from the Grand Architect herself, Supreme Leader of the Confederation. Admiral Marek, the ancient Vishari's image, flickered with the vast distance the signal had traveled. Your reports concerning the human world have created significant discussion among the Council. Marek lowered his head in deference. Grand Architect, I understand my decisions have broken with traditional protocols. Yes, she interrupted, her scales the pale blue of age. They have, and perhaps it was time someone did so. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the gesture of one sharing confidential thoughts. The Confederation has grown complacent, Marek. Our reliance on overwhelming force has dulled our innovative edge. Meanwhile, the collective grows bolder, employing technologies we struggle to counter. Marek remained silent, stunned by the Grand Architect's candor. These humans, she continued, with their quantum stealth technology and their resourcefulness, they represent an opportunity. Not as subjects, but as partners who might reinvigorate our approach to expansion and defense. Then you approve of the alliance? Marek asked carefully. I am intrigued by it, the Grand Architect replied. The Council remains divided. Traditionalists like Kavor have powerful allies, which is why I am appointing you to a new position, Ambassador Plenipotentiary to Earth, with authority to expand the alliance as you see fit. Marek's scales flushed with surprise. Grand Architect, I am a military commander, not a diplomat. Her mouth curved in the subtle smile of the very old. Precisely why you are suitable for this role. The humans respect strength and directness. You have demonstrated both, along with an unexpected capacity for adaptation. She paused. The winds of change are blowing through the Confederation, Admiral. I would have you help direct their course, rather than resist them. 2 days later, as the newly commissioned UES Constellation prepared for its journey to Vishari space, a joint ceremony was held aboard Truce Point Station. Representatives from Earth's nations gathered alongside Vishari officers, an unprecedented meeting of 2 civilizations that had nearly gone to war mere days before. Fleet Ambassador Rivera, still adjusting to her new title, stood beside Admiral Marek as they formalized the alliance treaty. The document was unique in Confederation history, recognizing Earth's full sovereignty, while still incorporating it into the interstellar community, establishing technology exchanges that would benefit both societies and creating joint defense protocols against the sovereign collective's encroachment. This is merely the beginning, Marek announced to the assembled dignitaries. Earth has demonstrated that innovation and adaptability are as valuable as raw power. The Confederation would do well to remember this lesson. And humanity, Rivera added, has discovered we are not alone in facing challenges that transcend planetary boundaries. In the Vishari Confederation, we have found not conquerors, but partners in navigating a complex galaxy. As the ceremony concluded, Lieutenant Suresh approached Rivera with a thoughtful expression. You know, Ambassador, there's an old Earth saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But I believe we're building something more substantial than mere convenience here. Rivera nodded, watching humans and Vishari mingling awkwardly but earnestly across the reception hall. We are. The sovereign collective may have brought us together, but what we build from here will be based on genuine mutual interest. She smiled. Besides, imagine what human ingenuity and Vishari resources might accomplish together. A formidable combination, agreed Sra, joining their conversation. One the collective clearly fears, judging by their hasty attempt to disrupt our alliance. They'll try again, Suresh predicted. Undoubtedly, Rivera agreed. But they'll find us better prepared next time. 1 month later, the UES Constellation, emerged from its first, faster-than-light journey, the magnificent rings of the Vishari homeworld Suvara, filling its viewports. Beside it traveled the Imperial Aegis, the massive battleship, now serving as an escort rather than an intimidation force. On the Constellation's bridge, Ambassador Rivera took a moment to absorb the reality of humanity's first visit to another star system. The journey that would have taken conventional spacecraft thousands of years had been accomplished in weeks thanks to Vishari FTL technology. Meanwhile, back in the solar system, Vishari engineers worked alongside human scientists, integrating quantum stealth principles into a new generation of defensive systems. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Admiral Marek observed, standing beside her on the bridge. Their relationship had evolved from wary adversaries to cautious allies, and finally to something approaching friendship. "Breathtaking," Rivera agreed. "I never imagined I'd see another world like this, not in my lifetime." "The first of many," Marek assured her. "The Confederation spans 73 star systems, Ambassador, all of them now open to human exploration and cooperation." Rivera turned to face him. "And what of the High Council? Will they truly accept this new relationship? Or are we sailing into a storm?" Marek's scales rippled with determination. "There will be resistance, certainly. Centuries of tradition do not change overnight. But the Grand Architect supports our course, and the demonstrations of quantum stealth technology have made an impression." His four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Rivera now recognized as wry amusement. "Besides, humans aren't the only ones who can be adaptable when necessity demands." As the Constellation moved into orbit around Suvara, Rivera reflected on the extraordinary chain of events that had brought them here. The Vishari had arrived at Earth expecting submission, confident in their overwhelming firepower. Instead, they had encountered human ingenuity and determination, qualities that had turned potential conquerors into allies. "Admiral," she said, "when your fleet first appeared above Earth, what did you honestly expect would happen?" Marek considered the question carefully before answering. "I expected what had happened 42 times before: a show of force, perhaps token resistance, then capitulation and integration. The Confederation's battleships have always been sufficient persuasion." "And now—" His scales shifted through several colors before settling on a thoughtful copper. "Now I understand that true strength lies not merely in the size of one's battleships, but in the ability to forge connections beyond force, to adapt, to recognize value in diversity rather than conformity." He turned his four-eyed gaze to the stars, visible beyond Suvara's rings. "The Confederation has dominated through power for centuries. Perhaps it's time we learn to lead through partnership instead." As the Constellation prepared to make history with the first human delegation to the Vishari High Council, Rivera found herself surprisingly optimistic about the future. Humanity had faced its first contact with an alien civilization, not with fear or submission, but with courage and creativity, turning a moment of existential threat into an opportunity for unprecedented advancement. The Vishari had thought Earth would be impressed by their battleships. Instead, they had found themselves impressed by humanity. And in that mutual respect, a new chapter in interstellar relations had begun, one written not by conquerors and subjects, but by partners exploring the galaxy together. Aboard the joint Earth-Vishari research vessel, Horizon. Launching from Suvara's orbit 6 months later, human and Vishari scientists worked side by side, their collaborative efforts already yielding breakthroughs neither civilization could have achieved alone. The ship's mission to explore regions of space where neither humans nor Vishari had ventured before, armed with the complementary strengths of both species. As Captain Rivera, now Ambassador Rivera, watched the Horizon depart from the observation deck of the Vishari High Council station, Admiral Marek, now Ambassador Marek, joined her. "They said it couldn't be done," he remarked. "A joint mission, human and Vishari crew working as equals." Rivera smiled. "They were wrong. About that and about many other things." "Indeed," Marek agreed, his scales glowing with satisfaction. Though I confess, when our fleet approached Earth, I never imagined this outcome. Nor did I, Rivera admitted. But that's the thing about first contact, Admiral. No one can truly predict what happens when different worlds collide. She gestured toward the departing research vessel. Sometimes what begins with battleships ends with something far more valuable. Marek's 4 eyes blinked in the sequence that Rivera had come to recognize as his version of a smile. Knowledge, partnership, progress. Exactly. Ambassador Rivera agreed, watching as the Horizon activated its hybrid drive. Vishari FTL technology, enhanced by human quantum innovations, and disappeared into the depths of space, carrying the shared hopes of 2 civilizations that had nearly destroyed each other, but instead found a better way forward, together.